Good, all right. I don't know where Stephen is, so. All right, you're ready down there? Call meeting to order, the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice?
Yeah, go ahead.
This meeting is called pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of May the 11th, 2015 was included in the list of notices sent to the Central Record, Burlington County Times, and Courier Post, posted on the bulletin board in Town Hall, and has remained continuously posted as required notices under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. We have roll call. Mr. Barton.
Present.
Mr. Francis.
Here.
Mr. Lee. Mr. Yates.
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Thank you, LaShawn. Mayor Brown had to attend another meeting tonight, so I'll be able to join us. And I suspect Stephen may still be down at the ball fields, but I'm not sure on that. So we'll move ahead. Begin with public comment on agenda items, except public first reading ordinances. Is there anyone who'd like to comment or make a question on agenda items? Mr. Cooper?
John Cooper, 21 Woodside Drive. I have a question on several bills that are supposed to be paid tonight. We were legally obligated to pay the bill, make a donation to the fire department back in March. Nothing's changed since then. Ordinances or anything passed to change that. How come we can give them $22,500 to it when we couldn't do it 2 months ago?
Because the budget is passed. That was a line item in the budget.
During the discussions with the, back in March when we were talking about it, Mr. Cramer said that the fire department would pick up small items on our own. See, there's a $700 bill for fixing a tire on a fire truck, $55 for training. Why aren't they picking up, that's what I would call small ticket items that should come out of their pocket, not the taxpayers. $22,000 has a title after it. It says tax assessment first quarter. Why is it tax assessment? The fire company doesn't have the authority to do any tax. That went away in January. So there's no first quarter. They're not a taxing agency.
Which, where was this bill?
It should have been directed as.
On page 2.
I understand where it is. It was a mistake by the when it was put in. It should have been funding, second quarter funding or first quarter funding, 2015, same as the Tabernacle Rescue Squad. I'll ask for it to be corrected.
So you're telling me that now we have a line item on the budget for the fire department?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
Got a quick question for you. Totally unrelated. Is anything here tonight? Been doing any fishing?
Yes.
Hitting the blues?
Sure.
Who isn't? Yeah. You don't even need to
They
be.
didn't catch a single one down there today. I can't figure it out.
Foreigners don't fall in the day. Anyone else? Mrs. Brooks?
Fran Brooks, Woods Meadow Road. Good evening. I also have a couple questions about that payment of $22,500. I just want to clarify that indeed that payment is part of the $90,000 that was put into the budget. Okay. I'd also like to know why. Well, first of all, if the contract doesn't have, I believe that you said that you were going to be creating a contract with some monetary amount in it. And so I'd like to know, how does well, first of all, what's the status of that process? And is the amount going to be this 90,000 that you put into the budget, or into the 2015 budget, or does the contract amount, will it be another amount that's put into the contract?
I hope to have it completed by next meeting if possible, although it may run to the first meeting in June. If there's some additional questions that we have to get answered, but I hope to have it done by next meeting. And the other question was whether they would be for the whole 90,000 or a
Yeah, I
portion
mean,
of-
is the contract
I'm
going
assuming it'll be for a portion.
for a portion of this 90,000, so it will be 90,000 plus that the fire company will be getting, or, well, I think this needs a little bit more explanation, because if,
And I will explain it at the next meeting.
well, I don't know why you can't explain that, because you have a $22,500 payment.
And they were paid, and Medford Farms Fire Company was paid $24,900 last year. So the first quarter of this payment is slightly under what their payment was. So if we do nothing different, it'll be a little bit less than what that amount the Medford Farms Fire Company got from the fire district. I intend to work out an arrangement on some building expenses, ongoing building expenses and utilities with the fire company, that the remainder of that portion will be attributed to that.
Okay, the remainder of the 90,000.
Yes.
Okay. And are they going to, how is that 90,000 going to be monitored? Are they going to be sending receipts over to the township?
They're an independent organization. They're responsible for all the utilities of the building based on the budgeted amounts that were in the fire district budget. And that's what they'll be. If they do a better job of controlling their expenses, then they'll have some windfall from it. If they don't, they'll have to be in the money that of their own budget.
Okay, and I guess what I'll do is, since it is related to this allocation, but I'll wait until the second public comment to ask the remaining questions. And unless they're real quick, I mean, are there going to be payments to the fire company that are exclusively township payments, as opposed to fire company and township?
I don't have that total answer right now because we're not finished with the document.
Okay,
But I'll be perfectly willing to explain that at the next meeting when I present the document.
okay, fine. Thank you, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Stuart Brooks, 78 Point Meadow Road. Just to follow up, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure what I heard. Is the $90,000 being given to the fire company for their exclusive use and control, as opposed to them coming back with an expense of X dollars, Y dollars, Z dollars that the township will approve or disapprove, and that gets subtracted? Is that
I anticipate it being in their control.
okay? Wholly and without township review or supervision?
Well, there will be an audit eventually, obviously.
I would imagine so too, but then that's not what, other than an audit, which is something done at the end of the year or whatever period, it's not as if there's a day-to-day control like all the other bills that come before you at a meeting like this one.
I expect the utility bills to be their responsibility that they pay for.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
John Cooper, 21 Woodside Drive. You have an approval or approving street openings for South Jersey Gas. A friend of mine had damage done by ground piping well over a year ago. Did $9,000 worth of damage to this electrical system in his home. It's yet to be resolved. He gets no response from South Jersey Gas. Gets no response from ground piping, and the electric company's hands are tied. I'd like to see you guys stop opening up the streets until these kind of problems are resolved. I'm sure, if it was your house or my house, I'd be upset. He doesn't want anything other than what the damages were. I'm pretty sure you're aware of it. I think he's talked to you. Get off.
I believe I've gotten either an email from him, and I've talked to both Atlantic City Electric and South Jersey Gas. I have not talked to them for a couple of weeks.
They don't even answer his attorney. And if this is the kind of thing that's going to happen, I mean, the only thing I understand is,
Do you know the address of the?
on Meadow, I don't know the exact house.
Okay, I can get it from that.
It's been well over a year. I get the impression that these two utilities are dragging their feet. There's probably a statute of limitations on these. They haven't even mentioned his attorney's letter, so.
We'll look into it again. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you know how this committee has dealt in the past about these. I think we need to go forward, to be honest with you, on what we have here tonight. But if this doesn't get resolved, we need to really relook at what's going on.
Thank you.
Anyone else again? If not, we'll close to the public. And I was remiss earlier, I did not introduce our newest township employee, Natalie, who is sitting over here and is our receptionist down front. So if you could just maybe turn around and stand up and say hello to people. I know you're shy.
Yes,
but-
I'm very shy. Hello, everybody. Natalie Lewis, thank you for having me. I absolutely love the town. Thank you.
And we're happy to have you here too.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, now I'd like to introduce Mr. Dave White, who's also a local resident. And Dave is going to speak on the Shop Burlington County First initiative. And I guess you have looks like a slide presentation or something?
It's actually our website.
Oh, okay, okay. So you're on, Dave. Tell us what
Thank you, Mayor.
about this.
I'm Dave White. I'm the Shared Services Coordinator for the Burlington County Bridge Commission. If you're not aware, the Bridge Commission is the county's improvement authority. The improvement authority was formed under the Bridge Commission. It was given the authority by the freeholders in 2002. And 2010 made sense to move the Office of Economic Development and Regional Planning over to the Improvement Authority. And we are housed in the county engineer's office, which also has the county planner, so we work very closely together with them. We assist in the Bridge Commission Improvement Authority. We assist in planning, dealing with shared services like grant writing, writing small business loans. We have a small business loan program. We do, as many of you are aware, we do bond and debt consolidation for municipalities and municipal agencies. We do pooled lending. As far as grant writing, Tabernacle's been able to get $20,000 in grants over the years through our grant writing for you. You're part of the Burlington County Joint Insurance Fund, and that has returned $11 million in dividends since 2006. And
Did we get all that, Dave?
What's that?
Did we get all that?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It was justifiably shared. And the reason the Bridge Commission, the advantage of having the Bridge Commission serve as the improvement authority is the monies that they invest is toll money and not tax dollars. In 2012, the Office of Economic Development and Regional Planning, which I'm a part, we were charged by the freeholders and the Bridge Commission to create a buy local program to help the small business community. In 2013, we launched Shop Burlington County First, and the program is designed to help small independently owned businesses market themselves and try to strengthen the business associations in the Chamber of Commerce and help them compete against the big box stores. Why are small businesses important? Well, research shows that if every person spent $10 more a month in a local business, it would generate $20 million back into the economy. And for every $100 spent in a local business, $65 goes back into the economy. And local businesses create about 80% of our new jobs. And as you are well aware, small businesses provide about 350% more support for the local community in a way of supporting your teams and your events and things that go on in the community. And that's just financially, it's not the amount of hours that they volunteer to spend. I did a poll of our business associations and chambers, and in 2013, the 13 local partners, which I will explain to you, they contributed $157,000 in direct financial assistance to the communities in the way of scholarships to students, equipment for first responders, and things like that. So when we developed Shop Burlington County First, we created tools to help the businesses market themselves. And the main thing that the main tool is the website that we created for them. The Bridge Commission pays for all the marketing materials, and we paid for the design, and we paid for the maintenance of this website. I'd like to just, before I start going through it, there's 2 requirements for a business to belong to the Shop Burlington County First program, for which there is no charge. They just have to belong to a local partner, a business association or a chamber of commerce. And as you can see, the local partners are listed on the right-hand side. There's 15 of them. You'll see down the bottom, Southampton Business Association. The County Board of Agriculture, we got them on last year. So any farm market that belongs to the Board of Ag is eligible to be in this program. There is no cost, they just have to pay their annual membership fee. I believe for Southampton Business Association, I believe it's $50. They're all different because some of the business associations do a lot of things. And they're run a little differently, but that's all they have to do. And the other thing is they have to accept Burlington bucks, which I will get into. We formed an advisory committee, a representative from the local partners. We formed an advisory committee and a marketing committee from those representatives because this is their program. We didn't want to tell them what to do. And a lot of the changes that have come about in this program in the year and a half have come out of those meetings. We have engaged in public awareness. I gave everybody a little packet, and one of the things that's in there is a little slip that says it's a pledge form that you fill out. What we do is we ask residents, they don't even have to be in the county. We go out to Farm Fair every year and set up a table all week, and we usually get a couple hundred pledges. But we ask just that if people go onto the site and give us their email address, whether it's business or home, however they want it, that goes into our database. And it just says that I approve and I support buying local. The email goes into our database. We can send out messages. We try to keep it to basically one message a week. And what we do is we do a spotlight business. The business associations pick one of their businesses to be spotlighted. And it goes out every Monday at 9 o'clock, Monday morning at 9 o'clock. And just to show you, this is today's that went out. This is NovaCare Rehabilitation in Southampton. It's up on Red Line Circle. There's a little bit about the business. They provide that. They also provide a special offer. It's an option, but most of them do. And this just says, print and present this coupon for 10% off retail active care products. They can make it anything they want, any special offer they want. Also, what has become very popular we now have 880 pledges that this goes to every Monday. There's a listing of community events that are going on throughout the county, and then the local partner events. Southampton Business Association just had a big networking event down in Valenzuela Winery. They had about 75 people down there, business people down there, to help grow their association. So that goes out. We just had Small Business Week last week. We did an additional 15 spotlights that went out, just to help support our local businesses. You can pledge online. You can fill out that form if you want to represent your town and your residents and lead the way. If you fill that out, I will input it. I will put you and pledge you tomorrow, if you'd like. Or you can go onto the website and do that. Anybody can go onto the website and do it themselves. For a business, you just have to become a member. You fill this out. It's your information. What's important is your website or your Facebook page. You pick the local partner to which you belong, and just by doing that, and you have to pick, you know, there's 48 different business categories that you get to select. Then all they have to do is go down and submit. Once you submit and you are approved, the business association says that you have paid your dues, and they'll get a default email once you register, and they will let us know whether that is a current business or not. This is the key component. This is the directory. We have 810 businesses in here, and if you go on to any of these businesses, this will take you to that business website. That's why when they register, they give us the link to their website or to their Facebook page, and that takes you right to their site. So the idea of the website and the program is to drive residents to the different local businesses to find out about the different businesses, and you know, they can create special offers or coupons, whatever. You'll find out about the businesses by going to their websites. That's the obligation of the businesses, to update and keep it current. Right now, Tabernacle has 2 participants in the program, Water Resources, and we have another one that I'm drawing a blank, that they just signed up on. They signed up on Wednesday night at the Southampton Business Association, but we're waiting for them to make sure that their dues are paid to Southampton before I can put them into the directory. But obviously, we're trying to grow Tabernacle's business. We would love to have, Russo's. We'd love to have Jack McGinnis and Tabernacle Inn. And we're asking you to encourage those businesses to check out the program. I have come down and done personal presentations to businesses to explain the program to them, and I'm always willing to do that. We also have a calendar of events that I encourage you, and I was just talking with Sean about one of the things I'm trying to do. I spent much of the afternoon is putting all the Memorial Day events. We will promote that. By the way, we also have a Facebook page, so we're always putting things out for different events and things for Memorial Day. But we have a calendar of events. You know, this is Burlington City's Memorial Day event. So anything that we get, anything that will draw people to your town, car show, whatever, any kind of parade or event, we're willing to promote that for you. Burlington Bucks. Burlington Bucks is the other part of the program. Oh, by the way, when you pledge, and you all have one, you get your car magnet, and there's 2 of them. You can put one on your refrigerator too. Burlington Bucks are designed a little differently than what you might be used to. There's been some skepticism about them, but these basically are designed not to cost the business anything. This is a $10 Bucks card, this is a $25 Bucks card. That's the only way they come. They don't have a magnetic stripe on the back, they don't swipe, they don't carry a balance, they don't expire. This is a $10 bill, this is a $25 bill. If I were to go into Russo's and buy $30 worth of produce, and I give them a $10 card, I owe $20. They call me the next day, or Southampton Business Association, or whenever they want, and we will come down and reimburse them in cash the amount of the card. They lose no money. There's no surcharge for like a debit or a credit card. And that's why it was designed that way. We do not want this to cost the local businesses anything. If I go in and buy $20 worth of produce and I give them a $25 card, they would give me $5 in change, but they would get their full $25 back. So again, they don't lose any money. We did put a stipulation in there. There were some coffee shops that were a little apprehensive about if somebody buys a $1 cup of coffee and gives them a $25 card, a business can post a minimum purchase requirement for using the Burlington Bucks. So this is, designed for the businesses to help them out and not to create any kind of problems for them. So why I'm going around to the different municipalities, and you're number 12. I have 16 scheduled, but we're asking you, the leaders of the community, to help promote the program, and you can do that by posting a link on your website to this website. I have drafted a letter. I can send it to Mr. Kramer, and it's in Word document, and it's got our logo at the top. You can use that as the link to our website from your website. We're also asking you to, and again, it's in a Word document, you can change it any way you want, but it's basically a letter to the residents asking them to support the program, buy local, and why you can, to learn about the program. And if you put this on your website, we would appreciate that also. Also, we're asking, and if you don't want to put the letter on your website, maybe if you do a mailing or a newsletter, you can include it in there. And the other thing that we're asking municipalities to do is, a key to the program, the success of the program, is making the Burlington Bucks accessible to the public. Where can they buy them so they can go out and use them? And that's been the biggest obstacle that we've run into. We are working on, next week we have a meeting. We're going to try to make them accessible at all the county libraries. And we're asking municipalities to enter into an agreement with their business association to make them accessible to municipal buildings. You have residents that come in all the time. They do financial transactions. They purchase pay their bills, dog licenses, things like that. The business association that enter an agreement with you, provide you with the cards, and all you would do is make them accessible, keep them separate. It's basically a auditing thing where you just have a separate cash box, have the cards there. A resident comes in, buys the cards, and you just keep everything separate. As simple as that, and I ask you to consider doing that. And I'm sure Mr. Lang, if you would, you can advise the committee on how to do that. I can provide you, by the way, nothing, I almost forgot this. Medford Township has been doing that for almost a year now. And I can provide you with the agreement they have with the Medford Business Association. And I'd be happy to do that. I'll send Doug all of that tomorrow. So, Burlington Bucks make great gifts. I buy them all the time. Give them out for Mother's Day, birthdays, holidays. My favorite example is my stepson got a $25 card for Christmas. He loves Oriental food. He found Oriental Pearl, a new restaurant in Morristown. He went up, used his Bucks card there, got basically a free dinner. Loves the place. He's there like at least once a month. That's the way the program works. Introduce our residents to the great businesses that we have in Burlington County. So, any questions?
Hey, Dave has agreed to take questions. Back in, Mr. Cooper.
Question. Yes, not a question, a comment. Have you thought about linking this to the recycle points that we get? Most of the stuff in there is out of Burlington County. And you get points for your recycling. I'm sure you're aware what that is.
Yes.
And relatively a lot of them are useless because they're not in this county. But maybe you ought to look into linking that somehow, and maybe we could use those points.
I don't, the recycling points, I don't know, if I'm not mistaken, that's through the Resource Conservation Department, and it may be contracted. And if, that is something that you know, if they have a contractor that does that, that's, you know.
You could sell your books cards on there for points.
Well, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I can, you know, check into that, yes.
I can put you in touch with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sean Bina?
Does it have a Facebook share button on it, by any chance?
We have a Facebook page.
Yeah, I was wondering if we, all right, I'll figure it out. I was just
Well, if you
trying-
get on our website and you get onto.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure a way to share it on another website, or on another Facebook site for you, so.
Well, we encourage that. We have at least one Facebook message a day.
Okay, yeah.
And
We'll just get more people involved.
yes, that's the idea.
And you, Joe or Joe?
No?
Dave, I had like
Thanks, Rick.
5 things I was going to ask you, and I think you answered 3 of them pretty fully. The other things, I think I heard you say that you had to be part of a business association to join. And if that's the case, I know over the years we've had business associations in our town. They seem to come and go like the ebb and flow of the tide. You said 2 people from our town are in it now.
Yes.
Did they join another association from another town, or how did that work?
Southampton Business Association represents Shimon, Tabernacle, and Southampton. They actually voted to change their name, but they have never come to an agreement on what that name should be.
Okay.
And I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, whether they have to change their charter or their bylaws or whatever to reflect that, and what they have to go through to change their name. They were talking about the Pinelands Business Association, but they just never came to an agreement on that. But honestly, the County Chamber of Commerce, any business can join any business association.
Shouldn't be a roadblock then.
And many of our businesses belong to multiple business associations. Morristown, Marlton, they're very active. They have all kinds, they have like an event every week, networking and social events and all that. That's why their dues are $300. So, you know, a small business that might not be able to afford that, there's an opportunity to, you know, they could join Riverside, I believe is $50, Southampton's $50. You know, Maple Shade is $200, but every event they have is free. Marlton's $300, and every event you go to, you have to pay for it. So just to try to give you an idea of how they differ.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're a for-profit or a not-for-profit organization?
No. We have some nonprofits.
Yes. And you talked about promoting events. You know, we have an event called Carranza Day, which I know you're familiar with. Would that be something that could be promoted?
Absolutely. One of the issues, Rick, is that I spend most of my afternoon going through all the municipal websites trying to find out what's going on for Memorial Day. I'm encouraging the municipalities to keep their calendars on their websites up to date so we can at least find them. And in many cases, they, you know, the information is there, the date and where it is, but like not the time and things like that. So I just don't have the time to track everything down. But Burlington City, they did listen to me. They put me on their email list. I get 3 emails from them every day, and I will tell you that the 3 I got today got deleted because they're like individual businesses we're not going to promote. But you know, 1 out of 10 that I get might be a community event that we'd be interested in helping with.
Good, good. Any other questions? Okay, so I understand what we can do. You're going to send a note to Sean or to Doug with some information about linkages and all that.
Yes.
You've also asked that if we have an opportunity as committee members to sign up on the website and say that we support this, and which is good. I appreciate you coming, taking the time to present this to us, and get it.
If you want to fill out the pledge form now, I can put it in for you.
Well, I personally, I'm going to do mine on the internet because I think we've got other things going on, and I don't want to take the time from the meeting.
I can provide you. This is a copy of the letter I'm going to send you.
All right, you got it? Okay, thank you. Okay, we have first readings on 3 different ordinances, and we'll deal with them one at a time. The first one is ordinance 2015-6. Yes. Did I skip the bill list? Yes, you did. Man. Well, we all want to get paid, don't we? I think we better go back to that. Let's deal with the bill list. Is there a motion to approve the bill list?
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Franzen?
Yes. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. Now we'll move on to the ordinances. The first one deals with fire prevention and protection. So we'll take a motion to introduce that on first reading, and then we'll have a public hearing on this where we can discuss it on May 26th. Is there a motion to approve that in first reading? Second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Franzen?
Yes. And we have 2015-7, which repeals an ordinance, number 1974-11. We have a motion to approve that, first reading.
So moved.
Second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Franzen?
Yes. And then the third ordinance that we're introducing on first reading tonight is to make Tabernacle Fire Company number 1 the volunteer firefighting organization for the township. Is there a motion on that?
So moved. I'll second that one.
Thank you.
And of course, a roll call vote.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Franzen?
Yes. And all 3 of these, the public hearing will be on May the 26th. Moving on, resolutions, we have 2 of them for street opening permits. So the first one is at 46 Summit, and the second one is 288 Carranza. Is there a motion to approve those resolutions for both those addresses?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Franzen?
Yes. As we said, Mr. Cooper will, look at this during the next month or so, and hopefully Doug will be able to get some resolutions to the problem described. Welcome.
Sir.
That fire call wasn't for you, was it?
No, is there fire call?
Yeah.
Structure or forest?
I don't know.
Squad call.
Huh?
Squad call.
Oh, squad call. Thank you. The next is a resolution to authorize the creation of a bid specs for the acquisition of a jetter truck for Public Works. Take a motion to approve in a second, and then we'll ask Doug to give us a discussion on it. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Doug, can you kind of explain this?
Okay. We've been looking for a while, better part of probably 6 or 7 months. We had originally tried to go in with Southampton to purchase a jetter truck. They started to go down the road with us, allotted the money. But I'm going to, based on their financial condition this year, have had some reservations about whether a dump truck versus a drain truck is most important, at least from the public works. I have had some discussion with the company that has this. We've looked at another demo. We've looked at this one. They've offered it at a substantially lower price than what it was before. I went out Friday and looked at it and evaluated it. I also, on Wednesday, went to the county and looked at their 1999 jetter that they are getting rid of. It has a number of issues with it, starting with the gearbox is blown out of it, which is, last year that was a $12,000 part. and they've had a series of motors through the power end of the operation, not the truck motor, but the motor on the back. And I'm leery of why they've gone through 3 motors in a time frame shorter than we've gone through 1. So there's some issues with that truck. The mechanics were not overly enthused about it.
What's the make of the truck?
It's a Sterling, but it's a Vector on the back, the same brand we have, the next version newer. But there's a substantial amount of cost to that, and you're still sitting here with a 99 truck with over 100,000 miles and 4,000 hours on it. The one we're looking at now has miles on the chassis, has 50,000, but it only has has under 200 hours on the vacuum portion of it, and under 150 on the jetter portion of it. So it's essentially a brand new truck from that standpoint.
Is that the first, are they the first on the jetter and the other, are they both, is it the first, because they're 2 separate power sources that aren't they? Or they,
No.
They come off the other one?
So it's a positive displacement, which runs off the truck motor. So part of the mileage that is on that truck is also from it running while it's jetting. It moves the odometer when it does that, besides the allometer.
Right. Where's it been since you saw it the last time?
It has been to California.
Okay.
And it's been in a number of western states from their western dealers, and is back in Johnstown now. I looked at it approximately probably 9-10 months ago. It looks the same, a little more wear in the body, but that's about, it's a stainless steel body lined on the inside, which is an option that we probably couldn't afford.
So they've been demoing it
They've
since?
been demoing it since.
Do they drive it when they take it to California?
Yes.
It's 50,000 miles.
You know, but the savings is substantial. It's basically priced right now at where a used truck would be versus a demo. So, and we have the funding to purchase it ourselves. And if other towns want to go, we'll work other arrangements with on a per diem basis if need be.
Other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Franzen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Public comment. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you have about 3 minutes to make your public comments. Mr. Cooper.
John Cooper, 21 Woodside Drive. I recently Oprah to find out who's been using the firehouse. The answer I got was, we don't know, we don't have a record of it. Find us deep in trouble. Our house could be rented out to the Hells Angels for beer parties. Somebody goes out and gets killed. You guys don't know anything about it. You took over the fire district, you agreed to take over the accountability of it too. Part of that was that building. The building's being used by outside groups. Nobody here knows who it is, how much is being charged, or where the money's going. I don't want to see you guys get into who done it, where the money got in a year from now. I have another question. Who's responsible for serving alcoholic beverages at the Seneca Parents? Was it the caterer, Parents Club, or the firehouse? The headlights.
I'm sorry. I didn't catch that comment.
Deer in the headlights. Everybody's up. We don't know. I think it's something, it's about time that you set guidelines down. You should be building, at least let somebody know what's going on in these buildings, these township buildings. You are responsible. I can assure you, if somebody gets drunk up there and goes out and kills somebody on the highway, fire company's going to have to do it. Did Mr. Lang say you got to defend this case? You really will look bad. It's not a smart thing. They need guidelines. this building or the firehouse. I know Ms. Brown said, oh, we discussed this thing before. Well, the only thing was discussed prior to this Seneca and parents meeting was the raffle license. Never discussion on the liquor license. You didn't even know there was one at the meeting. I think it's about time to talk to Mr. Lang and figure out how to set the guidelines. Protect yourself and the taxpayer of the township. So what's going on in this building? I think a couple meetings ago I asked about how many rental licenses for the ordinance you guys created for rental properties. How many people applied for permits for rental properties?
For house rentals.
Yes.
I gave that number, unfortunately, last meeting you weren't here, and I will give it again in my report.
Okay. All right, I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? I think Stuart Sam went up first.
Stuart Brooks, Woods Meadow Road. Last meeting, Committeeman Lee was so late that he wasn't here for votes or for public comments. If we didn't have the presentation tonight, I suspect the result would be the same. And he was late at the meeting before that. This isn't a knock against coaching, which is important. My questions are, how is his attendance for the last meeting officially recorded? And what's the standard for that? Who sets that standard? And if a committee member arrives after the public has given its comments and asked its questions, does the late or absent committee member have to go back and read them, listen to them?
I do, yeah. Since I'm the one you're talking about, I'll address that. Each meeting, I've read the notes. I will not be voting on all likelihood on the minutes because I wasn't here for the entire meeting. I don't feel comfortable doing that. But I can assure you that I paid very close attention to the dialogue that happened at the meeting. I know it was on the agenda. I know it was discussed based on the information that came from the tapes and so forth. But in terms of voting for the minutes, I don't think I'll vote on the minutes because I wasn't here for the whole meeting.
Okay, thank you. At a prior meeting, it was suggested by a resident that the committee establish an attendance policy. And I presume that a policy like that would apply to this board as well as the LDB. Is this committee pursuing such a policy? If not, why not? And if so, what's the status of that? When do you anticipate completing that? Third item, prior to last meeting, written questions were submitted to the township in advance of the meeting. And this was the suggestion that Mayor Brown had made when she modified the way that public comment would be taken and responded to. So the comments went in advance of the meeting, but those questions weren't answered either. I can't help but notice that over the meetings that we're having, many more questions are being asked than are being answered. Lastly, in following up on Mr. Cooper's comment regarding the use of the fire building, maybe I just don't remember this, but what's the authority by which the fire company can elect to rent out the use of that building or make that building available for use by someone else? Is there a use license agreement with them as there is or similar to the one that's in effect with the excuse me, with the rescue squad? And if there's not, then the question again is, what's the authority by which this other agency can send out or make that public building available to the use by others? And a follow-up question to that one is it right that the township does not have or does not exercise its own authority to approve, sanction, make sure there's sufficient insurance, do everything that's necessary to protect the township's interests in the event that something goes wrong, unfortunately wrong, at one of those events? Thank you.
Brooks?
Actually, Mr. Brooks asked the question that I was going to raise. So I'm fine, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Shows you two are totally in sync with, you know.
All the time,
Yeah.
100% of the time.
Works well. Okay, we'll close the meeting. Public comment, and now we'll ask for reports. I will begin with the township administrator. Doug?
Okay. I have given the report, I believe, of 74 rentals. I've learned since then that was wrong. That was 74 registered properties that are vacant. We have close to about 120 rentals, listed rentals, based on the last few years. Some of them may have come off the rental market because our previous requirement was not to notify us if it came off. So I wanted to clarify that for the record. Question I hadn't answered a few meetings ago concerning the fire company's report. It is prepared by the line officers or the operation officers and given to the committee. Right now, in the past, has been the first few months. We will probably go to a quarter of the report after this, unless committee desires to change. And at the end of 6 months, we will take a look at what is being reported and talk to the committee members about if they want anything different. There was comment about the lack of reduction in the contribution to the Tabernacle Rescue Squad. I mentioned it a couple times in my budget report that the overall reduction was $4,000. So they have not been kept the same. The combination between what the district gave and what the committee gave was 74,000 is now 70,000. 4,000 stayed from the district side, and $4,000 was reduced from the committee side. As far as an agreement with the Indian Mills Emergency Squad, I was made aware of it verbally, probably when they first entered into discussions about it. Okay. As far as the liquor license for the events, we require it's based on past practice as of right now. The agreement will address that similar to how it's addressed with the rescue squad when it's all said and done. Liquor license is a process that goes through the state of New Jersey, not through the township committee, where that's a requirement if liquor is served. And that permit is required to be gotten. Now I'm looking at the clerk because the clerk handles liquor licenses.
That is correct. The application is made and is signed off by the state police as well as myself, and sent to the state division of ABC. And they issue the permits. The township committee does not.
The township does not. The state of New Jersey issues those permits.
The social affairs permits.
We require in the application that we've asked the fire company to provide, that they provide insurance where it names the Tabernacle Fire Company as additional insured and Tabernacle Township as additional insured. We receive those certificates for the township. They're usually sent to us. So we have records of the events based on that. And a program called the TULIP program, which is an individual one-day insurance policy that has been made available through the Joint Insurance Fund, where if you're a private person having a birthday party or something like that, it used to be you could attack it onto your homeowners for one day. This is a much cleaner and easier operation where both the fire company and the township are named as additional insurers. and we will get our copy of that certificate for the event. So it's not out there with nothing, any controls on it. We worked with the Joint Insurance Fund to put these applications in place. The caterer may also have additional insurance if he's serving the liquor. That's usually a requirement. And if they are, we would get a certificate of insurance from the caterer, aiming the township and the fire company as additional insured. Okay. As I said before, I will look into the Red Oak gas. There seems to be an argument between the gas company and the electric company over what happened, and somebody nicked a line in this. And I have gotten not a huge amount of satisfaction out of it, but we will continue to plug along here and try to get something resolved. Suey Place Road has been paved. The cartway has been paved. They finished this morning. Late this morning, somewhere around noontime. They will be going back and addressing all the driveways in kind. If it was asphalt, they're making a square cut further back and doing the taper into that. If it's stone, they'll be putting stone back, and then they will be dressing the edges. Pipe work is done. They have inadvertently skipped the entrance into Ours Causeway, which they will pave, go back and pave according to the plans. But that is out there. But the pipe work was done last week. That seems to address the collapsed pipe that was up at the upper end past where South Park Road comes off. There was a pipe that drains those properties and crossed over to the pond. That was there, and that's been taken care of. It seems to be a very good job at this point in time. I've ridden it a number of times. Was up there today when they were finishing up. Seem to be doing a good job. They have to address some issues with 2 of the drains they put in. The inspector was going back and double check the plans to see whether we get some additional curbing in there, or they put the wrong type inlet. They put a B curb piece instead of an E double inlet. The one has to be dissolved the other, or next year in the snow, we'll take the B piece off the drain. It's on the curb, we won't see it. That'll be the end of it. So that is where that's going. The progress at the is being made at the snack stand. Whether Steve or Joe have a report on that, but just wanted to let you know that that's moving forward. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Doug? Township Solicitor, Peter?
I had expected to give a wrap-up on the Crown Castle case. We filed our STIP on April 30th, but the Crown Castle counsel has not filed a report yet. Probably doesn't make a big difference, but I prefer to err on the side of caution. I'll wait for that to be filed and then report to the committee. Did want to mention that by virtue of your passage of the resolution, the purchase of the fire truck process has begun. We've had the issuance of a purchase order. We've entered into a contract. Now the process for finalizing the bid specifications within the payment price will commence at this point. I have to say that at its inception, I was a little skeptical about the process, the cooperative buying process. One of the issues that has occurred regularly with respect to purchase of fire trucks is that the specifications are often tailored to a specific truck. And so the process says it's been characterized, in my view, over the years, has been the salespeople develop a relationship with the fire company. They develop an affinity for a particular truck. The bid specifications are written. There seems to be ways that the fire truck manufacturers are able to tailor the bids to make it difficult or impossible for other manufacturers to comply with that specific spec. And so there was some skepticism on my part about the efficacy of that process as a result. In this instance, where you have a cooperative purchasing, they're bidding essentially all of the trucks and all of the options nationwide to all of the manufacturers. And so what I've learned in the process is that they do so much in the same way as we, as the state, or we would do on a local level under our statute. And so also it motivates, I think, the manufacturers to give an even better price potentially than an individual purchase, because that price is going to be used throughout the country, theoretically, by a number of different governing bodies and public entities and other purchasing entities. And so I really think that it's in fact likely a better way to go about the process and ends up providing better value. Because although the specifications will now be developed with a little more detail to determine what specs they want in order to arrive at a final price that you have agreed to, all of the options that they'll consider, all of the modifications have been bid themselves. So those are all at the best price as well. So at the end of the day, I think it allows some flexibility for the fire company to look back and say, well, which truck do they want and why, without necessarily the influence in the process that's created through the specification procedures. And so I'm pleased, and I think that the township's going to get the truck that the fire company wants at the best possible price as a result of this process. And so I know that the delivery date is quite a ways away, but I wanted to give the committee some insight into my opinions concerning that process. I know that the committee is largely aware of it, which is why you supported it in the first place, but I wanted to lend some detail and amplify that to your benefit at this time. The other issue that I wanted to bring up was Bud Court. We had a promise made by Mr. Pagliuso that he would have a final paving by the end of May. We had written a letter to the committee which confirmed those representations. Through the winter, I maintained some contact with Mr. McAndrew to keep him reminded of that obligation. After the meeting before last, I reached out for Mr. McAndrew to explain that we have not yet heard anything. We weren't aware of any plans. Now, of course, these would be private contracts, but they would involve the posting of escrows and some interaction potentially with our engineer. Mr. McAndrew has not gotten back to me, which is not a positive sign for me. I suspect that Mr. Pagliuso may be under some financial stress. That's speculation on my part, but I think it's fair speculation under the circumstances. At this point, the letter of intent, the performance guarantee to the benefit of the township is quite old. It's, I think, been assumed by at least one bank, maybe two. And I think that it's gotten to the point where to wait any longer in forcing his hand in that regard, compromises the position of the township with respect to getting this done and collecting on that letter of credit. So based upon the committee's prior knowledge of the issue, based upon the history as I've represented it, and for the reasons I've indicated, I am seeking your authorization to begin the process of calling in that letter of credit, which starts with a letter to the bank and Mr. Pagliuso. It's a contrived process. It's not an informal process. It's laid out within the terms of the letter itself and the applicable regulation. And I think that since it's obvious that that's, I think at this point, not going to occur within the time frame that was promised, we should move forward. There's going to be cost potentially to the township. The cost of my involvement, the cost of Doug and the engineer's involvement. That has to be balanced against the cost of having to maybe pave the road yourself at some point in time. And so I think it's time to move forward.
Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Pagliuso have one lot left or two lots left?
I believe he said that there was at least one lot.
Okay, couldn't we, like you're saying, the fees of the engineer, yourself,
couldn't we have a lien against that parcel or that piece of property?
Your security, your vehicle for ensuring completion is the performance guarantee. And there is no ability, and I'll look into it, but presently I'm not aware of any ability for you to collect those costs. It's simply a cost of doing business. But you're at least protected against the greater cost, which is repaving it to the benefit of your residents without any funds which would be associated with the bank's obligation.
What do you want to do?
And I'll look into the lien issue, but
Yeah.
right now I'm going to say no, I don't think that plays into it.
I'm saying we move forward.
Pete, is there the agreement we had was that it would be completed by the end of May. I'm kind of surprised that Pat McAndrew hasn't given that any dialogue with him at all. Is
Well,
there
I mean, it may
anything-
not be Pat, you know.
Do we violate that agreement by putting the wheels in motion before the end of May?
Well, if you authorize me now, I can be ready to go, you know. I just don't see it happening. I mean, that's a good point. Should we wait till ultimately it's not done? We could do that. That might be the reasonable thing to do. But I certainly would like it on your horizon and be ready to act. Because
I mean,
like I said,
I'm all for pulling the trigger, but I also don't want to end up in trouble on the back end if we gave them the end of May to get it complete.
well, if we begin the process, their response is it's going to be done.
Yeah.
You know, it starts with, you know, a half hour of my time and writing a letter.
Yeah. What do you think?
I would suggest we ask Mr. Baguso for his contract, his contractor to have it paid, to see if he has a valid contract to get paid. If he doesn't,
Well, but see, that's what I've done. I've made specifically contact with Mr. McAndrew to obtain that type of information in those representations. And unlike Mr. McAndrew, he has not gotten back to me on that issue.
yeah, I'm in favor of moving forward with withdrawal, calling in the letter.
Got it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Joe Martin.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Franklin. Last week, I attended the New Jersey Emergency Preparedness Conference where I saw Colonel Lowe and several of his CERT teams. It's actually a whole week of training. I mean, they have some fabulous courses, and these guys really take it serious. There's literally thousands and thousands of volunteers throughout the state, at the state level, the county level, the municipal level, all emergency management coordinators. I also attended last week while I was in Atlantic City, New Jersey Association of Counties, which is the 21 county freehold groups. A little endorsement on May 17th, which is this Sunday. I chair a motorcycle run every year. This will be our 9th run for the Burlington County Military Affairs Committee, where I'm a member and former board meeting member. And all the funds raised go to 2 nonprofits. It goes to Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation. It goes to BMAC, which is the Burlington County Military Affairs Committee, which all their funds make their way back to Joint Base. We actually ride from Barb's Harley-Davidson this Sunday at 10 o'clock to Joint Base. If anyone wants to ride, you must register in advance. There will be a background check on you, and you cannot ride and participate and get on the base without it. I know we do have several folks here tonight that do ride, and Mark has rode in to ride with me many years. It's a good fundraiser. Also, since I mentioned Mark Lemire, as you know, Mark helps coordinate our Memorial Day Parade every year, and this year it's May 23rd at 10 a.m., so please come out and support the parade. Also, Mark organizes a cleanup of New Road. And Doug, I would ask that you not cut New Road and clean it up. Otherwise, you're going to take what trash is out there and destroy it into 10,000 little pieces and make our job that much difficult. And last year, for the first time, we expanded. We actually went from Tabernacle Road all the way to the Southampton line, and I guess we're going to do the same this year.
Yep. Saturday.
And we usually pick up about 50 bags of trash, believe it or not. It's amazing what people throw away. One year, I think we found not an iPad, was it an iPhone? An iPad.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. And it's $20 bill.
Still work?
Comes mine.
That's fine. $20 bill, the iPad.
Also, we have a flyer for anyone over 55. We sponsor Atlantic City bus trip, May 26th, which is Tuesday. The bus will leave here, and I believe they go to resorts. So anybody that's a senior would like to participate in that, I encourage them to do it. That's all I have.
Thanks, Joe. Stephen?
Thank you, Mayor Franzen. I just want to reiterate the bus trip. I was going to bring it up as well.
You're not old enough, Steve.
You're right, but you are, and Mr. Yates, you are, and Mayor Franzen, you are, so I would encourage you to go. You get 25-hour slot cash. And if you're not a resident, you can pay $10 and still go, which is pretty cool, depending on if there are seats or not. I have a couple things. I'd like a show of hands of anybody in the room that's a township resident that has broadband access at their house. How many have, okay, put your hands down. How many have cable television, have access to cable?
Well, what do you mean by broadband? Are you talking about a repeater on a house, or are you talking about a line connection?
Line connection, hard line connection.
Let's be clear on that.
I know what your answer is already.
Yeah.
The reason I bring it up is that Verizon, up until 2017, has a program called the Bonafide Retail Request Program, run by a lady by the name of Sylvia Del Vecchio up in Newark. And it's a program where they will provide broadband service to residential customers and business customers if there is a need. But there has to be a stipulation. You have to have 35 residents that are willing to take $100 out of their pocket and essentially make a promise to Verizon that they'll buy the service if they put it out. Woodland Township is about to complete this. And what they did was they had a survey that went out, or a petition that went out, or application, a bona fide retail request application, which is pretty simple. All it basically says is, do you have phone service with Verizon? Yes, which doesn't matter. But the two big questions are, do you have broadband service, or do you have cable TV? What that boils down to is we have a lot of residents in this town that don't have cable television. We have a lot that don't have broadband access. And to give you an idea about how many residents don't have cable TV, here's my map. This is the area serviced by Comcast Cable up top here. These are all the residents that do not have access to Comcast Cable. There's also a, on the broadband access maps that you can look online, there are substantial sections in our township which don't have access to, don't have broadband access. There's some over near where you are. There's also, most of Medford Farms does not have it. We definitely don't have it down here in Speedwell. So my point is, I was talking with the mayor this afternoon, and one thing I think it might be good to do is to potentially put this application on the township website and a link to fill the application out and get at least 35 residents to fill this out and get it to Verizon to get their attention. I will tell you that Verizon doesn't want the expense of having to do this. However, the BPU, if there is a need and there's a demonstrated need, the BPU will essentially make Verizon do it, for lack of better terms. So I'm going to reach out to the mayor, and I spoke a little bit about this afternoon. But I would be willing to get that there's probably a need for broadband service for folks that can't get it. Definitely cable TV is another option, but a lot of people can't get that either. So I'm going to reach out to the mayor, and we're going to kind of come to a game plan in terms of getting this posted on the website so residents can get access to it. And just to be clear, it's a Verizon Broadband Bona Fide Retail Request Program, otherwise known as BFRR.
So they run fiber? Is it run fiber?
FiOS.
This is the fiber stuff, not over the phone line?
FiOS. F-I-O-S. FiOS.
Well, that's a, forgive me for being anal here, that's actually a trade name that encompasses a bunch of services?
It's high-speed internet. Yeah, it's a high-speed internet line. It's a hard line that goes in the telephone pole.
No, you're not answering my question.
Okay, trying to, Jason.
Yeah, no.
This is actually public comment, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Why don't we hook up after the meeting?
Sure.
Let's do that.
Well, it would be helpful, actually, to have a discussion about this, even though it's not public comment. I mean, because I know, I have a series of questions, Mr. Lee. Is that possible?
We'll talk. I'm not going anywhere.
We'll do it
We'll talk
after
after the meeting.
Stephen will meet with whoever wants to talk, and we'll go through that.
This is a question for Doug. I was asked the other night about the permafloor in the emergency services building. Was that part of the initial building spec, or was that something that was donated? Okay. The permafloor was put in the snack stand this past week, and they've got it painted. There's been a lot of work done there within the last week or so. That's about the only update I have, but the permafloor was being done, which is what prompted the emergency services question. Memorial Day Parade, Joe touched on. Ball fields were mowed this week. Thank you very much for getting that done. And this week I was contacted by a plethora of residents from Suey Place Road that were very thankful for the beginning of that project. It definitely, the residents are pretty happy with the amount of work that's been done and getting that started. So that's all I have. I'll be happy to talk about broadband after the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Jeff?
I don't have anything to report, but I believe Stephen answered Stuart's question as to attendance. What Stephen does behind the scenes as a committee, as long as we have a quorum, we really don't need his vote to approve the bills or approve anything that comes on our agenda. But what this man does during the week, 2 weeks before we have our meeting, it speaks for itself.
Anything else?
You want me to?
No, I didn't think so.
I'm just making a statement for you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
First of all, I did want to say, Suey Place Road does look great. Everybody's saying that, but I mean, we have waited so long to get that done. It's terrific out there. And then I did want to address the attendance thing a little bit too. And I hadn't thought about what you said, Joe, but I mean, Stephen, like just this week, the whole FIOS thing he just talked about shows that he's out there doing stuff. And that may not be exactly what you were addressing. I think I understand it's not exactly, and I see that. But you know, I'm not aware that you know, you mentioned a resident who brought this up a few meetings ago and said we should have an attendance policy, and I'm not aware that any of us you know, have taken any steps or want to take any steps to do that. I'm happy, you know, speaking just personally, with the guidelines that the state has set down. I know we looked at these 3 or 4 years ago, you know, and honestly, you know, I don't remember exactly what they were, but I'm pretty. I remember then that they sounded good to me. They're either was, you know, well, I don't want to say because I'm not sure anymore. But in terms of doing something new and doing something localized that just applies to this township committee, as opposed to what's in place for the entire state of New Jersey. You know, I'm not in favor of looking into that. You know, I'm happy with the way things have gone the last 3 or 4 years, and I don't think we have an issue with you know, people not coming to meetings on rare occasions. Having said that, I think that's all I got. I think Doug did cover most of the questions that were asked. I was trying to check them off as he went through, and I think we're pretty good with that. And so then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're done.
They base it on, what they base it on is census tract number. For example, the census tract number is 736, which is on this map. What they base it on is the census tract. And the reason I only put what I actually put this in the ground.
Oh, well, it's New Road.
Yeah. But the stipulation is if you already have, I'll tell you exactly.
New Road. So if you guys are around, that'd be great.
The BFRR program, we make broadband service available to most qualified. Any combination located within a census tract or authorized service in order to be eligible, the resident included in an application cannot have broadband service available from Verizon, any cable company or access to wireless service.
Oh, do you really?
We just do it, I do it every day.
Where you get access, but it's not. Because I would say that
From Chatsworth out to 72, I mean, that's bad, that's a
That doesn't qualify, because we have a
That's great, okay, super, yeah.
it's not, okay, great. It might be advertised as 14.
Oh, okay, well.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, but you don't, what do you have? You've got a repeater air card. You have an air card that you yeah, that's all we have. This, but that air card does not fall under this classification. No, you count towards the 30 year. The only reason that I did, when we filled it, when I filled this form out, when I filled this application, I filled this application out. When I filled this out, the only thing that disqualified me was the fact that I was not in census tract 7. Sorry, I was not in census tract 747.
What they did is just
The only thing that knocked me out was the fact that I was in the census tract. The one file, yeah. Well, my question is, they run files from down 72, down 563, all the way to 10. They run all the way, they run it down the channel. They run it down the channel. They run it down the stage 3. All the way to 12, you know where Department of Water. He's got the house lit up, so they fire, so they stop there. He's in the census tract 730, and they stop there. The one reason that Verizon did that was because of 35 residents. So what I'm thinking of doing was put this application on the township website. My dad saw it today. Here's the
So we're talking the same.
That's a landscape electric, they got a meter, they got.